Oftentimes you can see them then using their knee to take the child to the ground. And at least one incident I saw them jack a kid up against the wall. School setting for children who are supposed to be getting emotional support.
This is a story about child abuse that occurred within the Chester Community Charter School West Campus in Chester, Pennsylvania. The investigation began in January of 2025 when two parents reported that their children were afraid to go to school because they feared being placed in holes by staff members. Officials filed charges against 20 people who are accused of either physically abusing or failing to report their abuse of 26 children. Chester Township Police determined that 9 workers restrained and punished the students by pinching them on pressure points near their necks, holding them in restraints, and threatening them with what the students called shoulder work. Now, this shoulder work involved the students being pinched on their necks. They also placed them in holes with their arms crossed in front of them, placing a knee to their back until the students was brought to the ground. Now, most of this abuse was captured on surveillance video that was later obtained by the investigators. The police said that the people who abused the children were not employees of the school, but rather worked for a third party called Peak Performer Staffing, LLC. Despite the company's founders claiming the staff members were trained in safety care techniques, investigators later learned that none of the employees had up-to-date training. This mom, as you can see here, had children that attended the school. Now, she pulled her children out because she said that she no longer can trust the school, and of those 26 children that were listed as being abused, her child was one of them. Now, the Delaware District County Attorney said that this is every parent's worst nightmare, and that we send our children to school expecting the adults to take care of them and keep them safe, but instead they're abusing them physically and emotionally. The investigation also showed that a lot of the staff members just sat by and watched as this occurred and did nothing about it. All the adults charged are equally guilty in failing to protect the children, and some of these children are as young as 5 years old. This is a very sad situation, and hopefully justice will be served.
Inside Chester Community Charter School. 20 people who work there are facing charges, with the number of alleged victims at more than 24.
And tonight we're hearing from more parents fearing for the safety of their children. Here's our Chris O'Connell.
One parent tells me she was sick to her stomach once she heard about these allegations. 26 students from an emotional support program at the school have been identified as the victims, and the Delaware County District Attorney calls that abuse systemic and deliberate against the most vulnerable.
My children came to me on several occasions about what was going on with the school, where I took pictures of my children's bruises.
This Chester mother didn't have to read the 84-page criminal complaint to know what happened to her son. He's listed as one of the 26 victims of abuse who were students at the Chester Community Charter School in Chester Township. She says it was so bad 2 weeks ago, she pulled all of her children out of the school.
If I can't see what's going on with my children inside the school, now that these accusations has been out, I need to make sure that my children are safe. And this is the way for me to keep my children safe.
The Delaware County District Attorney calls it every parent's nightmare.
You can see them grabbing their hands and putting them in front of them to restrain them. Oftentimes you can see them then using their knee to take the child to the ground.
20 people who worked at the school's West Campus are being charged with abuse-related crimes, 9 of them with unlawful restraint and assault. Investigators say surveillance footage late last year showed over 100 incidents of workers at the school abusing children in the K-5 TASK program for students who need emotional support. Complaint says the defendants used painful techniques such as pinching students on the neck, holding them in restraints, threatening them with shoulder work, and forcibly bringing children to the ground. 11 others at the school are also charged with witnessing but not reporting the abuse. Many of those charged work for a third-party contractor called Peak Performers Staffing, whose website is currently down.
When you send your child to school, that somebody who is being paid to take care of your child is actually hurting them is just frightening. Just as a human being, it's awful.
In a statement, the school says they are outraged by the company they hired to work with kids, saying, quote, Peak Performers had not completed necessary training, did not have proper knowledge in their field, and were completely unqualified to manage children. Too late for this parent who is warning others at school.
I want the children, not only the children, but also the parents of the children to also feel safe when these children are in their care.
Now, we tried to reach out to Peak Performance Staffing. So far, we have not received a statement. We've also learned several of those charged have already turned themselves in to police.